Welcome back. We're going to be hitting a whole bunch of different things in this video. First, I wanted to get you up to date on how we're coming with our primer. So last time we got epoxy primer on all of these parts, and now we are into the high build primer. So we've got a coat of high build here on the hood, on the cab, and on the fenders. Next thing I'll be doing with this, with the help of Guy when he's back, is doing a little bit of blocking on these. All right, there were still some parts that we didn't get into primer, and that's because they just weren't quite ready. So I pulled the box out and I've spent a little bit of time stripping it. Now this box, we're not going to get crazy on it. This is really the business end of the truck, and it's full of little dings and dents from stuff being thrown in there, and I'm not going to attempt to try to make that perfect. I want to get it as good as I can with the amount of time I'm willing to put in. I also mounted up the fenders, and I mounted up my spare tire, and here's why. The spare tire is a 215/85/16, and that, I'm told, is the modern equivalent to what it would have rolled off the assembly line with. I was concerned that this might not fit into this spot, might interfere with the fender, but it looks like I've got about 3/8 of an inch between that tire and the fender, so we're in good shape. One of the other reasons I wanted to mount up the fenders was so that we could do some body work on them. They're a lot easier to work on when they're mounted on a stationary object than just floating. So we're doing some body filler. I had welded in some patches on both sides, and they're just generally dinged and beat up, so we're just going to float them with body filler and get them sanded off. The other thing that still needs work are the doors. If you remember this one, maybe I didn't mention it. I've already stripped the paint off of this door, and I had welded in a patch along the bottom there, so we started with some body filler. That's going to need a lot more work, but it's well on its way. The other door still needs to be stripped. I did weld in a patch here, a big patch, and I've got that started, at least with my first crack at getting some body filler on all the way around that. So I'll keep going on this and get it ready to go for primer. Okay, work continues on these fenders. I'm on my second coat of body filler, just trying to smooth them out and take care of some of the low spots. So pretty much the same drill on both sides. Let's condense a bunch of sanding down into a quick short here. One last ultra smooth layer. I really thinned this stuff out. I found my low spots. Just kind of threw it on there, right here and here. And this was the worst of it. This is the one that had been body worked and just had so many bumps. So I just kind of ran a coat of the whole thing there. So we'll sand that down one more time, and then maybe I'll take it down to 150 and call this good. I think this is as far as I'm going to take it. I really focused all my energy on these fenders, getting them nice and straight. And there were lots of little dips and things that I've been through multiple layers of filler to get them where I wanted them now. So I got those done. This one took a little bit more. And this part in here in particular was the one that was really bumpy. And I don't know if you can see from the inside, but all through here, you can just feel all the lumps. The sign of an expert body filler man is massive piles of dust on the floor. So I must be getting good at this because I'm getting lots of dust on the floor. I also filled in a little bit of the dings on the top of the rail there just to satisfy Guy. I know he really wants this thing perfect. But the truth of the matter is, this box is really a combination of 3 really beat up boxes, and these sides are in really tough shape. I've heated them and tried to do a little bit of shrinking, but they're all over the place. I can't imagine what they're going to look like once I get some paint on them. But again, this is the business end of the truck, and I'm okay with that. If you've been following this project from the beginning, I think you'd realize that I have been doing body work, basically rust repair and stripping paint and filling for what seems an eternity. I actually started on this box back in August and moved on to the cab and the fenders and everything else. And occasionally when I'm doing these things, I need to take a little break and just work on something different. Yeah, the project started out with just pulling everything apart and working on repairs and cleaning up the whole chassis on this, getting it mechanically right, replacing a lot of parts, exhaust, all the way down to getting a gas tank in here. And then this thing got shoved off to the side. So I don't think there's anything more to do on this, but I think I'm going to work on something that's related to the box. So over time, I've been collecting up parts for all the different jobs that have to be done. All right, that'll do. And been thinking about the electrical side of things. So I picked up some tail lights. These are brand new, but I kind of like the look. I think they're going to match up really nice. So let me show you how I want to put these on. Okay, I think the best place for these is right about here. It gets them up out of harm's way. They're nice and visible, and I can mount them right to the back of these stake pockets. So I picked up these brackets, and they're going to go right on the back side like this. Now I just have to figure out how to mount them onto this. I think I'm going to use something called a rib nut, and I'll show you how that works. Okay, here's how it works. These are rib nuts, and it's essentially a rivet that's threaded. So when I put this into a piece of metal and cinch it down, I basically have a nice threaded hole. And this is what we use to install it. You basically put it on here and then squeeze down, and that's what kind of squishes the end here right in. So all you need to do is drill holes in the right place for these. The nut skirt just goes in like that, and then we put this in and clamp it down. So it's a little easier to put it on here first. There we go. Okay, now we've just got a nice threaded insert we can run our bolt into. One more. Okay, they're both mounted up. And the only thing I'm not crazy about with these lights is the fact that the wire comes out on top. It'd be nice if it was a little bit lower or somewhere in the middle. So what I'll do is open this light up. I'll put probably just some black braided wrap on that and bring it down through here. Let me show you this. And there is a hole right there. So I can bring it in through that hole and hide it pretty quickly. Now some people might say, well, pull the lens off and turn it over upside down. Maybe you've got it mounted wrong. Well, that's not true, because on one side, they of course got the light for the license plate, which I won't be using, but the cutout is still down here. So that's really not going to help me. The only other thing that I could consider doing is just drilling a new hole down here and then putting a plug up here. But I'll think about that a little bit. But I like the looks of these, and I think they're lined up right where I want them. And that was only about a 20-minute job, but nice little break from body work. So now back to body work. Guy was out for the day yesterday, and we continued body work. If you remember, last time we had just gotten the hood, the cab, and the fenders into high build primer. So he grabbed the hood and started sanding on that. Found out that I didn't get all the high spots and low spots. So we put a little more body filler on, and I will continue with that. I took these rails on the box a little further than Guy and I talked about last time. I think he was disappointed that I wasn't going to do more with it. But I did try to fill in all of the divots on top and a little bit on the sides. Guy said he'd like to see me just skim the whole sides here, or at least this little kick out. So I will continue on that and get that done. One of the things that I've been doing here that I don't really show on camera is when I've got a spare moment, or even if I've just got an hour, I'll just grab miscellaneous parts and clean them up and get them painted. And so I've got a whole bunch of stuff here that's all been prepped. Some of it's been done for a long time. Some of it I've been just working on. I got a whole box of stuff here too. So it's kind of nice just to keep momentum going and get this stuff out of the way. I would not want to be kind of to the point of assembly and then have to start cleaning up all of this stuff. Well, Prime Day is finally here. Got both the doors ready to go, the fenders, the box, the tailgate. We've got our box splash panels done. The side, well, basically the door garnish moldings, the windshield garnish molding, and the center bar. And I think that's everything. So I have cleaned out the makeshift paint booth. Let's get our stuff in there and get going. Well, I think we're done with the epoxy primer. Every part that's going to end up body color now has primer on it. Some of it, all of it's been epoxy primer, and some is already into the high build. The lighter colored stuff like the cab has already been into high build, just needs to be blocked. All the dark gray is basically in its epoxy primer. So let's take a quick walk around. The box, it's not great, but it looks pretty good. I can still see my little seam here, but this hides behind the cab. The sides of the box, I really expected them to look a lot worse once I got them all one color, but you know what? I think they're going to be fine. You know, my stake pockets look pretty good. Just don't look at them too close. Now, the fenders, they came out pretty decent, but I can pretty easily go in and see where I welded those patches in. So I'll take a little bit closer look and see if there's any more work I can do on those. And then just odds and ends in here. The doors, they came out okay. But again, like everything else, I'm going to walk you in so maybe you can see this. I don't think you can pick it up on camera. Probably need more light, but this door had that patch going all along the bottom, and I can see it. I can see the seam. So I may have to work that just a little bit more. And this is the door that got the big patch panel all the way around here. And if you look at that, you can actually see, you can see where it was welded. And also in these little corners, I can see some bumps and some work I need to do there. But I still think all this stuff, I can live with it. You saw the hood before. And then we've just got the miscellaneous parts in here. Those are all done. And the tailgate, kind of like everything else, it's not perfect, but it's good enough. So that's looking really good. So what next? I think the next thing I'm going to do, let's go back and look at the hood. The next thing I'm going to do, maybe on the next video, is work on this hood ornament so you can see the holes down the middle of the hood. There's I call it a hood spear that runs the full length of this. So I think we will do a video on the restoration of that trim piece. I'd like to thank you for joining me. If you'd like to see how we got to this point, you can scroll down into the comments and there's a link to a playlist for all of the videos on this project going back to the day I first brought it home. If you'd like to see progress going forward, you might want to hit that subscribe button, and hopefully my videos will pop up as I release them. Again, thanks for joining me, and I hope to see you next time.